welcome back to Best in Show Books, a YouTube channel by Naughty Dog Books. I'm Gina.
And I'm Shelby.
And we are here today in cozy little Nashville. A little rainy outside, a little overcast, but we are happy to be here to chat all things books with you, and we are so excited that you come back. Make sure that you like and subscribe so you don't miss any of us and any of our chats. Today, we have a very unique little book chat. Over the past few episodes, we've talked about some of our books being in Italy or in beautiful beaches. So we decided to do a destination little book chat. So Shelby, where did you start? What destination did you go to?
My first destination is a place I have never been to, but I do want to say I was so excited to do this. I love travel. I love travel. That is if you ask my husband, he would be like, that's all she talks about. That's all she thinks about.
Very cool.
Anyways, not even remotely close or related to my book. My first book, destination book, is The Lion Women of Tehran by Marjan Kamali. And let me just say, if you have never read anything by her, you are missing out. You are missing out. Her writing is beautiful. It is heartbreaking. It is fabulous. The Lion Women of Tehran follows two girls, Ellie and Homa, and they are young girls in Iran in the 1950s, 1960s, and it follows their relationship as they go from young girls into preteens and adolescents into young adults until their friendship is severed by betrayal. One of the girls ends up, as time moves on, going to America, and so then you have America in the 1980s, you have Iran in the 1980s. It does talk a lot about the politics of Iran at the time, which I had no idea. I
not in that era.
Really didn't know anything about that. It is excellent, and I highly recommend it. And I know that when it came out last year, it had a lot of buzz around it, so some of you may have already read it, but it was a really good destination read, because it was so immersive in the sights and the smells of the bazaar and the spices and the things that they would make in the kitchen. Food is a big theme throughout the book.
And if you're talking about the sights and the smells, if you're going to choose this for a book club, being able to do food around it.
That would be a great idea.
Which we like to eat, and our book clubs always have food. So that would be a really good one to have.
So after the episode, it's going to go like this. Right to Gina. So maybe
actually,
you can read
I'm really excited because I have not read her at all. And when you said this, I said that YouTube video popped up, and you said it was the author. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to go.
Which reminds me. So after I read it, I went into a rabbit hole of watching all these things about the author, and she was so well spoken, and it was really worth my time to learn more about her and her inspiration behind the story, which is crazy because she arrived in the United States, I believe, don't quote me on this, in 1982. And so she left Iran as a young girl during all this political upheaval. Yeah. And she said her family left and she had a best friend and she never got to say goodbye to her. And so she left. The kettle was on the stove. They just fled. It wasn't until the author, Marjan Kamali, was an adult and she saw a social media post from this friend who is a political activist. And that kind of planted the seeds of this story of two girls separated by time. And one of the girls is very active in politics. So it was really interesting to hear her inspiration and just a great read all around. Cool. So my first destination pick was The Lion Women of Tehran. Gina, what is your first pick?
We're going to the South Pacific.
Ooh.
After we leave London.
So
we're starting in London with Miss Benson's Beetle, and it's by Rachel Joyce. It is a historical fiction. It is set in the 1950s, and Miss Benson is a spinster school teacher in London who just really doesn't like her life. She's just she teaches, but she's just there. She always feels like she's never fits in, but she's had this childhood obsession with the golden beetle of New Caledonia. And it started with her father bringing these books into the house, and she was very interested and smart, and she studied it, and she got into entomology. So she just loved it. And so she decided one day she's just going to take off and leave her life in London, and she's going to New Caledonia to find this beetle. It is a quirky novel. It has got some humor, but it is so full of heart. But before she goes, she puts an ad in the newspaper looking for an assistant. And she hires, which I cannot even believe she hires this woman, but it's kind of like the only person that agrees to go for the money that she's willing to pay and leave on this drop of a hat. It's Enid Pretty, which is hilarious. That's her name because she, think 1950s, think Marilyn Monroe, dingy, blonde, wears a lot of pink, high heels, even little pom-poms on her shoes. Like she talks about her golden hair and like I keep picturing the little poof do. This is how she's dressed. And they're going to New Caledonia, this island, to look for a beetle. And so you've got Miss Benson, who's the spinster of a school teacher, and then you've got Enid Pretty. And these two women take off to New Caledonia to find this beetle. And it is a British-controlled area of New Caledonia that they go to, so there's expats. And so somehow she gets involved with kind of a expedition. So she has a place to start with, and they meet a couple people in the political world of Britain. But then when they travel out, there's a gentleman who is a veteran who has PTSD. And oh my gosh, this journey into this wilderness. And there's somebody that comes along. There's actually a murder. It's this quirky story.
It's a little bit of everything.
It's a little bit of everything. And these ladies really don't know what they're doing at times. They're following the hunches and these weird maps, and they're traveling out in the middle of I think the beetle's gonna be here because my father told me a story once. And Enid and Miss Benson form this weird friendship that is just charming and lovely because neither one of them have ever really fit in. They've always had to, you find out Enid is kind of, I have to use my pretty to get my way in the world. So she doesn't have a lot of friends. Miss Benson's always been this ostracized old lady kind of figure. And then you have this gentleman, I can't remember his name, who was the war veteran that helps them. And he's generous and kind, but he has this whole PTSD thing. So you don't know what's happening there. Yeah. The friendship, the loyalty, the bravery of these women, and following a passion and a desire to do something big with your life and get out of your comfort zone. They talk about her like she's super old, which really irritates me because I think she's probably my age.
Miss Benson?
Miss Benson is. But she's settled in her life in London. So the fact that she leaves all of that to go on this grand adventure is just
brave.
It was brave. And it's a beautiful view of this island. They talk about the flowers and the birds, and they sleep in the jungle in hammocks. And so everything is sopping wet, but the sunsets they describe, and the sunrises and the waterfalls. It's, a beautiful destination. Just, and then you're running away from somebody that might be trying to find you because you might have been involved in a murder.
Wow. So why the beetle?
So something with Miss Benson's father.
Like nostalgic bug or something?
Like they started this, again, he brought books home, and I'm trying to remember, and it's been a little bit since I read the book. He was a professor, I believe, and so he would bring these books in for her to study, and she got into entomology, and I think the beetle had some kind of significance to a story or a legend, and she believed it was real. And it was kind of like everybody was going after this beetle. Nobody believed it existed. So it's kind of the rare bug that she's going to find. And
that sounds so cute and so different.
It is very different.
I love that.
It is very different. It is very quirky. The fact that Enid is this like Barbie doll type, and she's dressed in all this bright pink, and then you've got Miss Benson who's got her khaki pants and her little, safari hat, and she's ready to go and all packed, and Enid's got like her purse and like her lip gloss and like, I'm ready. And I can just imagine these two women going through the wilderness of this island
with their pom-poms
with their
shoes.
I honestly visually can see this into a movie. When I read it, you just are like, I can see this. Because there's so many layers to it, and it's so visual when you read it. It's a really good read. It's very quirky. Highly recommend it. It's a good summer read because of the island, but because it's just endearing. I liked it. Miss Benson's Beetle. We have been in Iran, and we have been in New Caledonia.
New Caledonia, we had to look up.
Yeah, we did.
Is a real place.
It is. It's in the South Pacific. It's a set of islands. So this said it was French.
Who knew?
But it's British expats that she has the involvement with. So who knew? I really had no idea. And Shelby asked me, she's like, is this a real place? I was like, I think so. Let's look that up. I don't know why.
Learn something new every day on this.
I literally did today. So we're leaving New Caledonia. Where are we going now?
My next destination read is The House of Two Sisters by Rachel Louise Driscoll. And if you have been watching some of our other videos, or if you've been following us for a while, this was on my summer TBR, and I finished it. So excited. I was like, I was real proud of myself that I got that done. Yeah. So this takes place in both Victorian England and Egypt, obviously. And I want to get the year exactly right. Okay, 1887. So the main character's name is Clementine. They call her Clemmy. And she and her father work together to have these kind of like Egypt parties, relic parties, I think they call them, when Egyptomania was huge in Victorian England. And what Clemmy contributes to the parties is she reads hieroglyphs. And so she can decipher like what's on the amulets, what's on the tablets, and things like that, until one of those parties goes very wrong, and Clemmy believes because of what happened at that party, there is a curse on her family. So the story is always flashing back to that relic party and that past timeline. But the main part of the story is 5 years in the future. Clemmy has gone to Egypt, and she is taking back an amulet from said party gone wrong that she hopes to return and reverse this curse that she believes is on her family. So along the way, she meets a group of other British people. Clemmy's really reluctant to join up with them, but eventually she's kind of like fine because she wants them off her back, and she just wants to get this job done, return the amulet, and go back to her life. So they set off on a cruise, and along the way, things happen. You are constantly getting more of the previous story. It was very much atmospheric. You know, I felt like I could feel the grit, you know, of the sand and the heat. And again, like the Lion Women of Tehran, you know, when things were cooking, there were different spices. And so it was definitely different than I thought it would be, because a lot of the book is introspection. So a lot of times I was like, just do it. Just be nice to them, you know? And I kind of just wanted to like her on the head. But it was very interesting, and like Miss Benson's Beetle, very different. Yeah. And so I was super intrigued by the entire premise. I love the Egyptian thing, which is going to be no surprise to anyone at this point, because this was on my TBR. Last week we did Agatha Christie. Yep. So,
which I started.
Oh,
I did.
Good.
Yeah, I'm liking it.
Yeah, it's good. If you don't know what we're talking about our last episode. We reviewed 2 summary Agatha Christie mysteries, and the one that I read was Death Comes as the End. Highly recommend. We will link the video up here so that you can watch it if you haven't. It's such a good book. So The House of Two Sisters has a really deep meaning in Egyptian mythology, and it's 2 sisters, Isis and Nephthys. And that was another thing that I did not expect from this book. It is so heavy on Egyptian mythology.
Oh, very cool. Like all the gods and all of the burials and all of that?
Yes. Okay. And to the point where I was at times a little like, okay, I get it. You know, like it was just the same story. And I think the author was trying to weave in a parallel between Clemmy and this story, which the story of Isis and Nephthys like comes into play in the relic party gone wrong. So it was very good, and I think if someone is looking for a lyrical book and they enjoy that kind of like slower paced introspection type feel, then this is like 100% going to be right up your alley. I will say, if you are looking for something a little faster, which normally I am, it definitely speeds up as it goes. So then things were like boom, 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 and you know, things were really...
So slower pace at the beginning?
Yeah. And I think the author probably did that just to build the character of Clemmy, so you really get all that she's going through, has gone through, and is like processing now as she's... Because she believes, whether or not the curse is real, you know, whether or not, she 100% is like, this is...
She's all in.
I am cursed. I'm cursed. My family's cursed. We're all cursed. We're all going to die. Like, she is very invested.
You know, the mummy's curses, I mean, they're real, right?
Yeah.
I mean...
Obviously.
Sure.
Yeah. So, The House of Two Sisters by Rachel Louise Driscoll. Another destination that I sadly will probably never go to, but would love to go to.
Egypt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we did Iran, England, and New Caledonia. A real place.
It really is.
Now that we know that. Egypt.
Yes.
Now what is next?
We are going to an island paradise in the Indian Ocean. It's a privately owned island. And we are with Ruth Ware's book, One Perfect Couple. So One Perfect Couple, I love Ruth Ware. This is one of my favorite authors as far as like suspense, thriller. So I was really looking forward to this. This was on my TBR. Check, done.
We're doing so well.
We're doing so good. So Lila is a scientist. And then you've got Nico, her fiance, who is an actor. Not exactly, you know, like the couple you would think would be together, but they met on a fluke. She's at a cross point in her career that if she does not get this research to line up, she may lose her grant and her position. Nico's getting a little older, like in his 20s.
For the acting
For
role.
the acting role.
Ooh,
so he's
so old.
Yeah, so he feels like this opportunity comes around for this reality show where couples go on this island adventure. And it's a private island, and the producer director knows the guy who's building this island resort, and so nobody has actually stayed at this island resort before. So nobody's actually picked up this reality show yet either. So this all plays into this story. So Lila and Nico audition, and they get accepted to go kind of a last minute. And you kind of find out that all the other couples have been picked and have already like got their packets of who's going, where they're going, who the other characters are. Lila and Nico are kind of like, hey, we're here. It starts off, you think that they go through challenges. So each couple, you know, like who knows the couple best questions kind of thing. And that's like the first night. And it's a beautiful island. All of these little villas are just, you know, kind of picture when you go to a spa and they have the TV playing and they've got those little villas out on the water. That's the way I picture
like the Maldives.
Yes, like the Maldives. That's the way I picture this. So they're very excited. They're like, oh, it's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be romantic. Night one, Nico loses the challenge and he's kicked off the island because, they actually kicked them off the island. So before they go on this trip, Lila's like, I got it only like 2 weeks because then I have to get back and write this grant. So she was supposed to lose early and be kicked off and keep Nico there so that he can build his brand. Oh my. But Nico does not know squat about Lila. So that night, Nico leaves on the boat with the producer, the director, and all of the film crew leave this island on this boat and go back to the mainland. And only the contestants and their little cameras in their huts are there. And this massive tropical storm hits the island. And it's bad. And when they wake up the next morning, like, part of the island's destroyed. People have not survived.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then it comes out that maybe there might be somebody that might be helping them along the not making it journey.
Their path to eternity.
And so there is a conspiracy going on of who are some of the people on this island and how are they connected? So
that sounds really good.
Yeah,
that is like right up my alley.
Well, as I was reading this, you like the reality show. I was like, Shelby actually might really enjoy this one because of the reality show aspect. Because you did learn a lot about what happens behind the scenes of a reality show.
Sounds so good. I think I'm gonna have to borrow that one.
Please do. All right, so we're going to where next?
My last destination travel read is Molokai by Alan Brennert. Have you read this?
I have not, but it sounds pretty. Just Molokai
Gina,
sounds pretty.
you would love this.
Okay.
You have to read this ASAP.
All right.
The main character is a young girl, and her name is Rachel. And Rachel is maybe 6 or 7 years old. And one day at school, I think a health inspector comes through, and they see a spot on her skin. And she is diagnosed with leprosy. And so they immediately, like, she is gone. And this was back in the days where when you get leprosy, you are shipped off, gone. Your family cuts all ties. And so she's like 6 or 7. And this happens to her. I can't imagine. I have a 7-year-old right now, and I can't imagine.
I can't either.
So she goes to this leper colony on Molokai, and I remember not really knowing like what to expect, but it was run by nuns, if I believe, and it has like a general store, a school, buildings, and so it was like a village. So Rachel goes, and the story is very much a saga following her from child to adult. It's about the relationship she builds with people there on the island, how she handles being separated from her family. It was such a good story. This is one that I sobbed. Like it's a real tearjerker. It's heartbreaking. It's heartwarming. It's devastating. It's got moments of humor and levity and sweetness. And it is just a stunning story of the strength of the human spirit and the bonds that people make with found family. And it was so I just get chills thinking about how much I love this book.
Aw.
And it was just wonderful. I highly recommend it. Like I said, it takes place on Molokai, so you have this lush scenery. It's green, there are flowers, it's beautiful, It rains. It was very atmospheric again, like all of these other books, and I just loved it. It's also got a sequel, Daughter of Molokai.
Oh.
And I do believe there's a third one that's not necessarily connected, and I think it's just called Honolulu. I have only read Molokai, but even not having read the rest, I would highly recommend it. Like, Molokai was that good.
So do you think Daughter of Molokai might be like...
That is the sequel.
No, but do you think that it's the Rachel, like maybe connected to her, like she has a daughter?
It is connected to the first book, but I won't tell you if it's Rachel's daughter or not.
Okay. Because that gives something away.
Right.
Maybe. Okay.
So
all right.
It is connected somehow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to read that. So Molokai is the island that she's on.
That's the island she gets sent to.
Okay. I'm excited to read this one.
You'll like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You'll like it. You'll like it. Molokai by Molokai by Alan Brennert. So far, we have circumnavigated the globe.
Yes.
I feel like we have gone to Egypt. I'm looking down at my books. Iran. We just went to Molokai. We went to New Caledonia, a real place.
Yes.
We went to also London. That one kind of had some
Yeah.
London.
Yes.
And we did a private island in the Indian Ocean.
Yes.
Now, our last destination. Where are we going?
Panama Canal. The Great Divide by Cristina
Henríquez.
Henríquez. Yes. So this is historical fiction, and it is the creating and the building of the Panama Canal. So go back to that time frame. It is a beautiful story of not just the building of the canal, but the people that were involved. So you have Ada. So Ada Bunting, she's a young girl who leaves Barbados all by herself. She sneaks on a boat and sneaks on a train to get to Panama Canal to find a job, to earn money to send back home because her sister is very sick and needs a surgery and they don't have the money for it. So that's where you start. But then you also have Dr. John Oswald, who is from the United States.
Dr. John Oswald.
Yes, and he and his wife have traveled to Panama Canal because he wants to help eradicate malaria. So we've already got, was it the yellow fever that they figured out was the mosquitoes, but he now knows that that malaria is also a mosquito issue and transmitted that way. So he has studied all of this and he wants to go and help eradicate that. That's like his dream. His wife, she is a botanist. So they go there thinking they're going to make this huge difference in the Panama Canal. But then you have Omar. There's a lot of characters in this book. I promise they all weave together. Omar is a young man whose father is a fisherman and wants Omar to be a fisherman. But Omar just doesn't have that passion. And so he decides to go work on the canal, and his dad hates this idea. They're like, you cannot go work for the white man. You cannot go work for these people who are destroying our community and building this canal. But Omar thinks he's making a difference and helping his community. And then you have Ada's mom back in Barbados. You get her story of her trying to take care of Millicent, the sick sister, and how she is a black woman who had an affair with the white sugar plantation owner, but they were in love, but they were forbidden.
Right.
So the two daughters are his, and how she tries to keep her life separate.
Wow.
Yeah. And
a lot of complex dynamics.
There is. And then you have this family that doesn't feel like it fits anywhere, but they belong to a community, a town that the canal people are wanting to move the entire town across the river so that they can dig it up and build this lake that's going to be part of the locks. They don't want this. I mean, like hundreds of years of people living in this town. So they try to fight it and protest. So you've got all of these people and you get their backstory setting them up, but then Ada becomes a nurse to Dr. Oswald's wife because she gets pneumonia. This story, I mean, it is so deep because you get Oswald's story of how he doesn't feel like he fits in and his only goal in life is so laser focused on the disease. You have the people of Panama that want nothing to do with this canal because they feel like the Americans, which there's a whole argument over who are Americans because they're like, we live in the Americas, so we're American too. And the white people that come over from the United States are like, no, you're not. You're Panama. Right. It's a unique view into, they did a great thing by building this canal because they went in and helped them become a free people against another dictator that had control over Panama and gave Panama the freedom to become their own. But then they're indebted to the United States for that help. There's friendship, there's loyalty, there's politics, there's history, there's characters you just want to slap a couple of times because I'm like,
there are always a few of those.
Lady, just be nice. You know, there's love. It's a lot of story, I will say that, but it's a good story. And it really does not focus on the canal itself.
Like it's not a history.
It's not a history. You get history in it, but you're getting the history of the lives surrounding what it took. The people that died because of, when they're building it, like the mudslides.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like the diseases going from malaria or the pneumonia was really bad because it's so wet. This almost became a historical fiction book club pick when it came out last year. And I only got so far into the arc and I'm like, I think I'm going to read this one instead. And then I didn't go back to it. And so I'm glad I went back to it and finished it. And it's still a possibility for a book club pick because it's just, it's so rich. It's a complicated human story. I think it was a really good story and I highly recommend The Great Divide by Cristina Henríquez. We have traveled the world, my friend.
We are officially done. Yes. Our journey around the globe in books is done. Thank you so much for watching with us today. We would love to hear what you thought of these books, or what other travel books should we have included. Or I will also accept, where would you like to go? Because I love to talk about travel. So if you just want to be like, you know what, one day I would like to go to Spain. I would like to know that.
One of our readers this morning left a message, a comment that said they were from London and they reading The Queens of London.
Yes, I saw that.
And they're going to travel to Scotland Yard. And I was like, how cool is that you get to travel and see that after reading a book? So that's a fun thing too. So if you've read a book and then traveled to or
like a book that inspired your trip. Maybe we should do that, Gina.
Oh, I'm good with that. Yeah. Thank you so much for popping in and chatting all things books with us today in our cozy little corner of the world and our destination books. We are so thankful and grateful for that. This is Best in Show Books, and I'm Gina.
And I'm Shelby.
Till next time.